We're back with more Tapped Out with Brendan Tobin and Sean Levine on the BetQL Network.
Welcome back into Tapped Out, ladies and gentlemen, here on the BetQL Network. Tobin here with you alongside Jake Noecker, and we are welcoming a new friend of the show, Anik Subramanian here from the Scrap News and Energy TV. You guys can follow him at Pandemic MMA. Anik, appreciate the time, man.
Dude, thank you for having me. It's been a while. I really wanted to be on the show, so thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Well, we'll give some respect, even though this card stinks tonight. Marcin Tybura, Sergey Spivak. Let's just give some thoughts on this main event. Who do you like here tonight?
I'm actually gonna go with Marcin Tybura. I think he's bigger. I think he's really evolved on the feet. And Spivak had no answer for Cyril Gane. Now, Gane is an elite striker, but I believe Tybura can mix it up better than Spivak, and that's why I'm gonna go with him.
And like BT said, tonight's, a bit of a stinker, but next week, UFC 305, much more so looking forward to that.
Oh, yeah.
The main event, obviously, Dricus, Izzy, but a fight that's getting my attention the most, Dan Hooker, Mateusz Gamrot. I mean, you look at Gamrot, people call him a wet blanket. He lays on top of you, he wrestles, but he gets the win. Very efficient. Dan Hooker, the opposite. He likes to brawl, likes to kickbox, he likes to scrap, scrap news, no pun intended. But do you think Dan Hooker can survive the grapple attacks, or does Gamrot get it done? How do you see that fight going?
So I think it's a winnable fight for Dan. I also think there's very high stakes on the line. With Islam Makhachev out for the rest of the year, I wonder if a potential interim shot for Arman Tsarukyan, I keep thinking Sakarian because that's how Chael Sonnen calls him, but I'm wondering if Tsarukyan gets placed against the winner of this fight for the interim title fight. That's what I wonder, right? Because Dustin's hurt. Gaethje's taking time off because he got brutally knocked out. So I do wonder if the winner gets the #1 contender belt chance. So I do believe Hooker will not. Gamrot does have a suspect chin because he's got knocked down his last couple fights. He got knocked down by old RDA. I think Hooker can knock him down and hurt him. Do I still think Mateos will win via grappling decision? Yes, but I think Hooker's got a chance. It'd be Hooker by knockout, Gamrot by decision.
What about in the main event? DDP is defending his belt against Izzy. A lot of bad blood here. Are you worried at all that Izzy's getting a little long in the tooth, or do you feel like he's a deserved favorite for this matchup?
He's like a slight -130 favorite. So I think it's fair given all his history. Given I do think he had an off night against Strickland, even though Strickland deservedly beat him. I believe Dricus is going to win because of his size, though. I think if Dricus wrestles, like, he is a huge guy. He says he's going to sit there and stand and bang with Izzy, but if he's smart enough, if Dricus gets hurt once, I think he should sit there and wrestle with Izzy. It's a winnable fight for Izzy on the feet because Dricus lunges forward. His chin can easily get cracked by Izzy, but I think Dricus takes a smart route and smothers Izzy via ground and pound.
And we're on the BetQL network, so I got to get into the bets a little bit here. So
Yeah.
305 still talking. If you had to put money, first round knockout, who are you taking? Tai Tuivasa or Jairzinho Rozenstruik?
I'm gonna go Ty. I think it's Ty's time. And the last time he won against Derek Lewis, he called himself Muay Thai. So I'm gonna go Tai Tuivasa. I think his clinch work is really good. He doesn't really need to worry about the wrestling because Jairzinho doesn't want to do that. And I think it's about time Ty comes back. So yeah, I'm gonna go Tai Tuivasa first round knockout. I think he hits harder. I think he's faster and he's better in the clinch. So yeah.
What about in the co-main event? You got a couple of flyweights who Kai Kara-France, he's been on the scene for a while. Steve Erceg kind of just blew up, had a nice little showing in the championship shot that he had. What do you make of the flyweight matchup between them?
Well, this fight is the one that I'm most intrigued by, as a matter of fact. And I do think Steve Erceg is turning around a little bit fast after a 5-round war with Pantoja. This is like 4 months after, but this is also with like all the hype he's gotten, all the media he's done since his last fight. I think Kai Kara-France beat Amir Albazi last year. I do think that fight was closer to a robbery than a close fight. And I believe Kai can crack. I think Kai can win on the feet. I also think Kai can mix in the wrestling. He's very underrated. So yeah, I'm going to go Kai Kara-France via decision. But that is my people's main event. I'm so excited about that. And I think it's going to be cool to have this little Aussie-New Zealand rivalry, like Rob versus Izzy a couple years ago, and this time it's
Yeah.
very friendly.
Something on Tapped Out, unfortunately, we talk about every week is Conor McGregor, just because he's Conor
Yeah.
McGregor. And BT, myself, Sean, who's not with us right now, we had a discussion yesterday. Will this McGregor Chandler fight ever happen? I mean, it's a shame, like, that's the talking point of the fight. Like, will it happen? But I lean no. Pretty sure BT leans no. But what do you say?
I believe it's going to happen. I still think I think Connor's training despite on the yacht and partying like nuts. I think he will come back once just for his own ego. If he loses though, which I think he's got a chance of getting knocked out brutally, then I think it's it for him. If he doesn't win this, if he loses, it's over for good. I hope it's UFC 310 in December, but a lot of this is based on Dana White's scheduling as well, right? Because he's got a lot of other title fights he wants to throw in there. There's a rumor of a women's bantamweight title fight at Salt Lake City at 307, then 308 is Max Ilia in Abu Dhabi, 309 in MSG. It's rumored to be John Jones, Stipe. Rumor has it that Alex Pereira is a co-main event. Now, these are just things I've read online, so no real sources here. But 310, Bilal Muhammad says he wants Shavkat or Usman. If they take the but I wonder if they're going to make him the co-main event of a Conor card. It's really intriguing, and I think it's based on the other title fights as well. Now, I know Conor gets priority, but Dana will stack the card in his favor, right? Because I think we're going to get Ian Gary on a McGregor main card.
Yeah, speaking of Usman and Bilal, they have had a bit of a back and forth this week. Bilal's not the youngest champion in the world. It took him a while to get here. I know like a lot of people may have the idea that Kamaru might be a little bit washed or past his championship prime. Where do you lie on that matchup? Do you think that Bilal just being at the peak of his powers right now, too much for Usman, or do you feel like Usman's got a chance to regain the welterweight championship if they were to fight?
I believe the Usman that showed up against Khamzat, who lost a close majority decision, I think he beats most welterweights. I do believe Bilal's at his prime, and Bilal started MMA late, so there is less tread on his tires. I'd be really excited. I feel like it would be a stand-up battle, because both of them would kind of cancel each other out in wrestling. Now, Usman's an amazing wrestler. What I wonder is, though, Usman's power, I wonder if it's went down a little bit because of the tread on his tires on his knees. I think it's still a winnable fight for Usman, but right now, I'd lean Bilal. Like, I'm more intrigued by Bilal Shavkat, but the Bilal Usman fight is something that I've wanted to see for the last 4 years. So I'm good with either. I do think Shavkat's a more intriguing matchup. Like Bilal said, the legacy matchup is Kamaru. So yeah, I do. I think Bilal Usman would be anything between minus 150 plus 130 either way.
Boys, the Bilal Muhammad, is he gonna win? It's gotta stop. I mean, 600 dog tickets in a row. He's gonna keep winning, boys. He's not gonna lose. He's gonna keep that welterweight till he retires. I mean, BT, why are you even? Come on, man. We know this. Bilal Muhammad is the GOAT. He's a mythical creature.
He's the GOAT. He beats Leon Edwards one time just hugging his back, and he's the GOAT.
Dude,
I mean, my God.
Number one
dude.
P for P, baby.
I mean, this is crazy.
He's already up to number 5. I'm someone that has thought Bilal would take the title for like the last 3-4 years. I just thought, he's good everywhere. He's not the best anywhere. And if it's the most entertaining championship, it would be Michael Chandler as champion of everything. But I do think Bilal's got a couple years left in him, even though he's 36, because he did start MMA at 23. Like, he was supposed to go to law school. And I think he's got the least ego in the sense that he doesn't stray away from the game plan. I don't think that Leon fight was boring. I thought he did smother him. It was different. Like the Wonder Boy fight, I was a little bit bored, but
Yeah.
I thought he did beat Leon very clearly, and Leon just didn't have an answer. So, yeah, I'm excited, and I want to see. Shavkat is so good. He's so strong, but I do wonder, is he going to get careless and get held down? I could see a path to victory for Bilal in that fight, even though I think it's his toughest fight.
Well, speaking of PFL, we did get the announcement this week. Francis Ngannou is back. Renan Ferreira taking him on. He's a giant. They're both giants, but I do wonder, Anik, if you worry at all about Francis, just because obviously he's just coming off not only a bad loss to Anthony Joshua, where he took, just a vicious knockout, but obviously dealing with the personal tragedy too. Are you worried at all about all the things that Francis is coming off of? 2 years since he's fought MMA. Is there any reason to worry about his PFL debut? Because they have a lot riding on him.
I am worried. I am worried. I think not, but either way, he signed with the PFL more for his PFL Africa deal. I always thought he would fight once and only once with the PFL because boxing where all the money's at. He's already been the UFC heavyweight champion. Renan Ferreira can crack. Francis does have a clear path to victory because Renan cannot wrestle. He got taken down easily in the first round of the championship last year. I thought Goltsov should have beat him, but he did get cracked, right? I think if Francis is smart, he's going to wrestle, but I know he's not. He's going to try and go crack for crack. I think it's a winnable fight for Henan. I still think Francis is going to win, but I am worried that Francis is turning around a little too fast because with the brutal knockout, 6 months isn't enough. Like Usman did that against Leon for the trilogy, and he said he wished he took 9 months to a year. Like Izzy was concussed against Sean Strickland when he got knocked down, and he took 11 months, and I think that's really smart. So, yes, I do worry about Francis, but as much as flack I've given Don Davis this year, the PFL, they're putting together some really good fights for that Riyadh season card. So props to them for once.
Well, the co-main event over there is Chris Cyborg, Larissa Pacheco. Finally, I'm still this is another card. I'm not convinced either of these fights happen until they do. There's just too
Yeah.
much hype behind. You know what I mean? It's that kind of vibe. But who takes that one? Does Cyborg keep that dominance going?
Speaking of bets, I was really intrigued. I saw Cyborg was a slight favorite. I think Pacheco is gonna beat her in the grappling. I think Pacheco also hits hard. We just don't see it. She chose grappling against Kayla Harrison when she beat her. Cyborg has been boxing, and I think she needs a little bit more tread on. I think she does have a lot of tread on the tires, and Cyborg hasn't been fully tested in a while. I am gonna go Pacheco by finish.
We also got a pretty great announcement recently. Ilya Taporia is going to be fighting Max Holloway. Cannot wait for this fight. So excited to see Max back in action. Taporia too, of his crowning achievement. Who do you like in this matchup?
I also want to hear who you guys like in this matchup. I'm gonna go Ilya via battering, 5 round battering, or Ilya via knockout. I'm leaning more towards 5 round battering, and here's why, right?
I'm with
Max,
you, dude.
part of why I think Max was so good against Gaethje is because he didn't have to cut that much weight. Max was super aware of Gaethje's power. It was the fight that everyone thought Max was going to get slept or at least tested, right? I believe Ilya's far too fast and Max is slightly slower. His reflexes are slightly slower at 145 pounds. Ilya's got the Yair Rodriguez level power, and Max beat Yair 3 rounds to 2, but he didn't look fantastic. I think it's a winnable fight for Max, but I do think Ilya beats him and he just hits too hard, too fast. So I think Max needs to make it ugly to win. But even when it's ugly, like when Ilya starts winding up near the corner or near the cage, he puts everyone to sleep. So yeah, I am leaning Ilya, and I do believe it's like minus 150 Ilya. I think it should be more like minus 200. But hey, can't doubt Max after his last fight. What do you guys think? I'm rambling.
No, Sean and BT yesterday we were talking about, or you two were talking about this, and I didn't chime in, but I agree with Anik. I'm actually on the other end of you and Sean BT. I think Ilya's gonna win. I'm nervous he's gonna knock him out. It's just my favorites get knocked out. Yeah, that's just kind of how the sport is, right? You get to that age.
I think you guys are talking about like one of the greatest strikers we've ever seen in the sport. And I feel like if anybody's going to get taken to school, it's the young buck. I mean, like, look, I honestly think Max, every time he steps in there, it looks like his striking gets better, like between adding, the close range spin, back kicks to his arsenal, the type of volume that he can pour on. Like Ilya better get him in one round. If he doesn't, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, now I have to go into deep waters with a guy who's a machine for 5 rounds and has done this more than anybody in the history of the sport. And then by the time after he beats the holy hell out of me, he also is like, hey, let's go for knockouts at the end of the 5th round. So I think the weight cut is a good point because I do think he was very happy to be at 155 and seems like he did it the right way. But I also think this is, this guy's never had weight cutting issues other than, the trying to make Khabib on 2 days notice. It's never been an issue for him. So I like Max, but that's just respect to longevity and greatness. I think he's one of the best to ever do it at that weight class.
Yeah, I mean, I'm rooting for Max, but I also think Ilya is him. I think he's more of him than Sean O'Malley, than any of these guys. I think Ilya on Father's Day dedicated a post thanking the world and congratulating the world because he exists. Like, I just think Ilya's got that superstar power, and especially in Europe. Handsome dude. He's going to make $100 million in his career, even outside of the UFC. And I think, oh, here's the other thing. I think Ilya's grappling is very underrated. Most of his finishes were via submission before his last like 5 fights. And I think Ilya, and he submitted Bryce Mitchell with ease. I think Max has a takedown threat now. Like Max can wrestle and stuff, but I think Ilya could steal some rounds if he's not 100% of the striking. So that's why I think he's more well-rounded than we think. And I forget too, because Ilya's been striking lately.
Anik, we appreciate the time, man. Thanks so much for stopping by, and we'll have you down the road.
Appreciate you guys. Enjoy next weekend's fights.